another jewel in your crown because of what you did. And God used her. Share your story.
Hello. Hello. Wow, it's so true that because of your support, because of your help, I got to spend the last 3 months in the very heart of Central America. We can start on the very first slide. Oh, it's already up there, which is so great. So yeah, summer medical missions internship this whole summer. I have to go back a little bit before I start with this summer. So I'm a nursing student right now at the university. Before I was at Lee, I was in high school, just chilling, not knowing what I was going to do with my life, and I felt very clearly in the sophomore year of high school that God was calling me to medical missions. I was like, okay, sounds good, it's your deal, we got this. And so it was really cool this summer to see God start to set things in motion that I had heard so many years ago. I'm a senior now in college. So, heart of Central America, we can go to the next slide. It's the very heart. This is Honduras. This is the country where I lived for this whole summer. If you'll look, you go down, US, Mexico, Guatemala, take a right at El Salvador, and this is it. So I have a couple of facts up here. I almost made this super educational, then I realized this wasn't a presentation for church, so I cut out some numbers. So I'll read these off the slide. But in 2016, more than 66% of people living in Honduras were living below the poverty line. And then in rural areas like where I was working, approximately 1 out of 5 Hondurans lives in extreme poverty or on less than $1.90 a day. So there's really no way for me to properly show you what that looks like. You have to see it for yourself. But over the next few slides, we'll get more of a feel for what Honduras looks like and what rural areas in Honduras look like. If you look at this little random square on the map around the city of La Ceiba, that's where I spent all of my time. There's a river that flows from La Ceiba into this beautiful mountainous area, and it's called a cuenca. So cuenca translates to river cove. So where I spent my summer was called La Cuenca Congoja, Crab River Cove. There are crabs that live in the river. It's very weird. But you can go to the next slide to see what this place looks like. It's breathtakingly beautiful. There are green mountains everywhere around you, sky high, and then rivers flow in every direction you look. It's a really beautiful land, but it's also really rural, and it's up in the mountains, so you can hardly get up there, especially not in our mission school bus that we take everywhere for our teens. You have to crawl up this mountain, and you have to crawl back down. In the next slide, I have some facts about our area. It's home to over 15,000 villagers. You think you're just seeing mountains and rivers, but just over this bend, there are 40 homes randomly in the middle of nowhere. And so the thing about that is, it's really cool, it's really beautiful, but this isn't the place that's most taken care of by the government. They're not super supported in a lot of social services that we just kind of take for granted. Extremely mountainous, it's hard to get things up and down. It's actually predominantly religious. Almost every person I interacted with was Catholic. There were a lot of Protestants in the area too, so they know who God is, and they rely on Him daily for every little thing that you need. And they're in need of reliable access to healthcare and also educational support. So for this entire 15,000 people, there are about 3 or 4 health centers, each manned by a nurse and a helper, maybe 2 nurses. Maybe there's a doctor who visits there sometimes. And they don't always have medicine, which is kind of crazy to think that you go to a health center to get the medicine that you need for your chronic illness, except for they don't have it this month. There are a couple of other missions-oriented clinics that are in this area, but nothing to the capacity that you would need to serve 15,000 villagers who live all across this wide region. I want to end with this point for this slide, that these are the most hospitable people you can possibly imagine, despite all of this. If you can go to the next slide. This is a picture taken in the village of El Paraíso. You can't drive here. You definitely have to hike. We're doing some surveys with medical students who came to do some research on pulmonary issues in babies and correlated with factors of poverty. And so we walked house to house saying, do you have a baby less than a year old in your home? No thanks. thanks. Okay, next house. Just house to house in so many villages that summer. And every single house, you cross into their home, and they're pulling up all the chairs that they have to seat your group, offering you water, sometimes offering you a meal. When they don't know what they're going to eat next week, they're going to give you the biggest meal that you can't even finish. You have to say that you're full. And you keep eating it anyway because it's culturally inappropriate not to finish your meal. So you just keep eating, just keep doing it. The next slide. And this is it. This is the answer to so many prayers, to so many dreams. This is the Jungle Hospital in Rio Viejo, Honduras. Rio Viejo is centered, it's in the middle of this mountain, valley, river area, and so it's mostly accessible to the entire La Cuenca region. And I lived in an apartment like right behind it. This hospital was 12 years old. Before, there were people who were working and sort of was a clinic, but the dream really was to have a hospital in this area. So it's called the Jungle Hospital, but also has another name. It's the Dyer Rural Hospital, and on any of their government forms, that's what they're going to put. It's a little more official. Dyer Rural Hospital is named after Jack Dyer, who was a missionary in the 1990s, working in this area, and it was his dream to see a clinic and a school and an orphanage on this long mountain road, and now today all three of those ministries exist and are thriving. Just amazing. So he mentored 2 interns who then mentored me, and I was their intern. So this guy's like my grand mentor, I guess you could say. You can go to the next slide. These 2 people are so amazing and so special to me. And this is Dr. Martin Williams, and then his wife, Wendy Williams. They are the founders and directors of Healing Hands Global, which is a nonprofit that resulted in the Jungle Hospital being a real life thing. So Dr. Martin actually, he studied in the U.S., he studied at the university, but he got his medical degree in Tegucigalpa in the capital so that he could know culturally how to do medicine for Hondurans and how to not only speak their language, because he already spoke Spanish, but to speak their language at an entirely different level. And then Miss Wendy here has an accounting degree, and she takes care of everything administratively. And so we have these 2 incredible people, and then on the next slide we have our jungle nurse, Tabby. She's the sole nurse at this hospital. It is just the 3 of them who are long-term staff, and then they do everything else by having interns come in the summer and cycles are 6 months at a time, and also having teams of volunteers who come, medical or educational or otherwise, help us kind of accomplish our mission. Tabby's been living in the jungle for going on 8 years now, works incredibly hard, knows where every single thing is in this hospital, and she's just a powerhouse for sure. Go to the next slide. So the main service that we provide to this area is primary care. There are a lot of people who have diabetes, hypertension, asthma, just chronic illness, and we aren't fully stocked today to do emergency trauma sort of things. You have to drive down to the city, but to meet the basic every month needs of the people who live in Honduras, that's really, really what we're doing. I need to give a little bit of a background. So this area was extremely, extremely in poverty, and they're coming out of it. It's super hopeful and super beautiful to see this area just flourishing and blossoming, but along with getting out of poverty, you're seeing people have enough money to make bad choices, just enough money, but enough money to make bad choices for their health. I don't know how they do it, but Pepsi can make it anywhere and everywhere. There are so many Pepsi advertisements all over every village. I'm like, how do they know where this is? How did they get here? But the idea is, used to people could only afford 1 Coke a week, and I was like, well, or 1 Coke a month, and that was special. And now people are like, I can afford, it's almost cheaper than water. I can afford like a Coke at every meal. And then people start getting diabetes because they don't really put 2 and 2 together. They don't have the health education or really just like basic education to know that that's not good for your health. And so what's been really important is health education and managing chronic illnesses for us. That's mostly what I got to see when I got to help with this summer. And then the next slide, we also do labor and delivery services. You can say "ah." That's okay. Look at this baby. So I actually got to be a part of one birth in our hospital, seeing a little baby boy named Tiago be born. And we saw some other births at the government-funded hospital at the bottom of our mountain. And so, yeah, we get to be a safe place for moms in this valley to come in, have their little ones. Other options to have babies at home, which is never really the preferred method, since if something goes wrong, you suddenly have to get up and go somewhere in the middle of labor. But for moms who qualify to deliver at our hospital, we get to be the people who do that, and it's super special. And we're always super excited, even if it's at 3 in the morning, we have the throat scrubs on, we're just ready to go. Let me go to the next slide. Yeah, so I was talking earlier about visiting teams who come. It would be super, super hard to do the things that this ministry does with just 3 long-term staff and like a couple of weird interns who come every once in a while. So this is a visiting physician, and they're actually inside the clinic with a translator and another volunteer, and they're providing consult to a girl who goes to the high school across the street. I know because she's wearing the yellow polo, and they come out, it's like, when they come for consult, you always know when it's an IER student because they're wearing their little yellow school uniforms. So this is what visiting team looks like in clinic. But if you can go to the next slide, this is what it looks like when we go on medical brigade. It's my favorite thing that we do. One of our sayings is, we go to them. So we will go out to a village, set up clinic in their schools, in their churches, whatever they have available for us. This is a church in Las Mangas, and you can see there's just chairs and some plastic tables, and this is medical care for a lot of people. They come in and they pay about like $2, and then they get consult and like another $2 and get medicine, which for us doesn't sound like a lot, but for them, it's just enough to where it validates that this is real care they're getting. This isn't fake, these aren't sugar pills. This isn't some fake doctor who's come to sort of give you medical. These are real qualified people, and this is real medicine too. So it's just enough to make that kind of point that we're here to provide real medical care to you. You can go to the next slide too. This is what brigade looks like other times when you're outside. This is one of my favorite villages. It's called La Maria. You can't drive here either. You hike up. It's a very, very beautiful hike. And La Maria actually can translate to dead end. This is the last village at the end of the trail even. And you can see kind of some providers, 2 tables, and that's about it. And that's what we're working with. We also have medicine, and we have trained medical professionals who are with us to provide this care. The next slide. Another thing we do, we talk about educational support. We love to support our teachers and our students in our area. And here we're actually, this is me using very bad Spanish to teach a lesson on healthy eating. We talked about making good choices. We're trying to instill that early, way before you even have the chance of getting diabetes. You're trying to instill early on that what is healthy for you? What grows in the trees in your yard is healthy for you? Drinking milk, drinking water, drinking juice, and just little really simple lessons that hopefully stick around for a long time. We'll talk about this. We talk about hand washing. We have a really annoying song about hand washing that's in Spanish. We have another one about brushing your teeth, also in Spanish. So we'll learn these dances, we learn these songs, and we'll usually learn a couple of Christian songs and worship songs. We'll do those dances with the kids too. So this is actually our last team of the summer that came from a church in Louisiana. And yeah, this is what we do. We also pray for the kids at the end, which is always my favorite part. Dr. Martin will kind of lead the prayer, and the kids will repeat after them. So he'll be like, God bless the school, and the kids will repeat. God bless this village, kids repeat. And then God bless Honduras and give it peace. It's not exactly a place that's known for peace or prosperity, but it's always what we're praying over Honduras. And we also give the kids some school supplies, and the teachers get teacher bags because they don't really have the resources from the government to always teach well or teach as well as they would like to. So another one of my favorite things, you can go to the next slide. The last thing I want to talk about really with this ministry and what's going on, this picture is different. It looks like just a bunch of people, and it is, but we're in a clinic about 4 or 5 hours away from the hospital in a totally different state, you would say, than ours. And we're here, we camped for 2 nights on a dairy farm, and then we wake up the next morning and we'd go set up brigade in this health center. And the reason we're here is because Dr. Martin and Miss Wendy are looking at the property for the 2nd General Hospital, which is super exciting. This place is called Nueva, Florida. And the 2 days that we were here, with 3 providers, we saw 300 patients. Wow. Which is crazy. It's unheard of even for us if we're doing a brigade in a village that's in our area. The thing is, we've been there for so long, the need is, like, they know we're around, for one. If they need to come to us, they can. But also, just having someone regularly checking up on your health means that you don't desperately need medicine whenever it's near. And for this place, their health center has been out of medicine for a hot minute. So there are plenty of diabetics and hypertensives who are saying, I haven't had my medicine in months. I feel awful. I really need you to see me. We were almost at the point of turning people away because we had to get home before it got dangerous to get home. But what's super exciting, what's super hopeful is that a couple years down the line, this place shouldn't be like that anymore, because there'll be a hospital there to meet their needs on the regular. They won't be desperate for medicine anymore. Just kind of crazy to think about. So I just wanted to share that. Dr. Martin also has shared that there's a vision on his heart to see 10 hospitals like this in Honduras and different areas. And so he'll tell me praying for those things. I really believe that everything that this ministry has done so far has been so driven by God. And so if Dr. Martin's seeing a vision for 10 hospitals, like that's the check, that's the go, and we need to see it happen. Big dreams here, doing the little things, doing the little dispensing pills and scrubbing wounds, but really, like, these are the big things. These are the big things in the kingdom of God, showing that we care. The next slide, I'm pretty sure, is just a one-word question that I like to ask myself. When I'm doing something ministry-related, what's the why behind what you're doing? And for this, it could seem pretty simple, like, why provide health care to people who don't normally get it? Well, duh, you should provide the health care that's checked. You don't have to answer this question anymore. But there's a deeper why. Like, why be there? Because there has to be something more. And so what Dr. Martin and Miss Wendy like to say is that their ministry is relationship-based. They've been living in Honduras for 25 years. They have friends and neighbors who they know and love. And they use these relationships as a springboard for sharing the gospel. They never try to, evangelize during consult. That kind of seems, that's not exactly the way you want to go, that you would share the gospel with someone as you're about to treat them. But what they do is if someone says, why are you here? Like, I'm sick and I'm here, but you could be in the U.S. making a lot more money than you are now. Why come? And what they get to say is, God loves me. He placed a call on my life to be here. And God loves you. And so he brought me here to meet this need. And it's been such a cool way to share the gospel of Christ, especially in this area, which can be more legalistic in how they're seeing God and how they're worshiping. Just to throw that love in there and to show what living a life that's radically changed by God's love can do. It can change communities, it changes lives, it changes hearts. Yes. And so it's been just the coolest thing to be a part of this. Not just for me to see the health part of it, because I'm a nursing major, I'm a super nerd for all of this, but at the same time just to see God's heart square in the middle of the jungle has been really, really cool this summer. So I'm almost done. I have one video to show. It's not of the hospital really, it's like an empty hospital. I wasn't walking around with my camera while we were treating people. It seems kind of weird, because it is. But what you will get to see is the beauty of the area, some of the kids we got to meet during our school visits, maybe a baby, there might be a baby in that video. And the song that's playing in the background is Multiplied by Need to Breathe, which this summer was really important to me. Because I read in a book, I'm reading a lot about missions this summer. It's a missions internship. They give you readings, and they give you books, they give you assignments so that you're learning the nitty-gritty of what missions is about. And I read a line somewhere that said, like, you're not bringing God to the community. God is already there. God has been there working for long time don't negate what God's been doing. And so my prayer has always been for this area and for Honduras in general is that God's word would be multiplied. We know God's there, we know God's moving just under the surface. So God be multiplied, be a parent, and just move in our lives and revive this place. So that's the song that's playing in the background. I'd like to thank you again for your support. I couldn't have made it without you. It's just so encouraging that a church would choose me, in a sense, to support. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys continue giving towards the missions, because God is just at work in so many places all around the world. So I think that's all I have. But go for the video.
Your love is like a radiant diamond bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the skies. These hallelujah be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamond bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the sky. These hallelujah be multiplied.
Give her a hand. Did she get